A key figure in the New York City indictment against the former president over alleged hush money payments is now being accused of refusing to comply with a congressional subpoena. Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida just introduced a bill to hold former Manhattan prosecutor Mark Pomerantz in contempt of Congress. Pomerantz left the Manhattan DA's office, writing a book calling for Mr. Trump to be charged. He was recently called on to testify before a House panel. And Matt Gaetz is joining us right now. Congressman, thank you so much. In terms of your allegations for Pomerantz, his response is that this is all political theater. He pled the Fifth Amendment. What do you say?
Political theater is exactly how Mark Pomerantz got involved in the Trump matter to begin with. This is a dangerous person and a legal intermeddler. Mark Pomerantz was not in the prosecutor's office when they began this review. He literally volunteered to go and investigate not a crime, but the man, Donald Trump. And our legal mores and our ethics would certainly drive against that. Now, when Mark Pomerantz came to Congress, we asked him, did you commit any crimes when you were investigating Donald Trump? Did you violate Donald Trump's constitutional rights? And he pled the Fifth, but that Fifth Amendment assertion has been waived. In the law, once you address an issue, you have committed a subject matter waiver, and you don't get to say, well, I wrote this book about the whole endeavor. I stand by the book, but now I'm not going to answer specific questions about laws that may have been broken in the prosecution. So when someone puts forward a frivolous basis to not answer questions, then Congress has the right to take a contempt action against them.
And it's interesting because Pomerantz reportedly argued in the hearing that it would be, quote, improper for him to comment on this ongoing probe. I don't know that there is a legal standing for what is proper and what is not in this situation, but we spoke to one of the former president's attorneys on yesterday, and she was saying that there was a lot of injustice surrounding the treatment of the former president compared to others, and that this was blatant and that the American people could see through it. I'm sure depending upon whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether you love or hate Mr. Trump, you would see this differently. But is your real motivation to show that there has been bias against the former president?
Certainly bias in the Manhattan DA's office. Again, when someone says, I'm specifically volunteering for this job because I want to be a part of charging Donald Trump, and then when they leave and write a book about it, it's pretty clear what their intentions are. But I don't think that bias is limited to the Manhattan DA's office. In the coming days and weeks, I expect that Donald Trump will be indicted by Jack Smith over this records dispute, where if you look at the Obama presidency, the Bill Clinton presidency, Mike Pence's house, Joe Biden's house, there were classified documents in all of these places. There's obviously a need to reform that system. But then to only bring charges against Donald Trump based on these records matters seems to demonstrate a different standard.
You certainly bring up a point that is one that needs to be looked at. Let's talk a little bit about what else you're making headlines for. Critics are calling what you're doing a revolt against Speaker Kevin McCarthy, blocking a pair of Republicans.
My friends call it that, too.
What did you say?
Not just my critics that call it a revolt. My friends call it that, too.
So what do you call it?
I think that when our leadership couldn't hold the line on spending, they surrendered the ability to exclusively hold the floor. Right now, we are refusing to allow the failure theater to continue to play out. We want to see rescissions, more spending cuts. We think that McCarthy and his negotiators got rolled by Biden and the Democrats, and now House conservatives are flexing our muscle. We want to see a return to the normal budgeting process. We want to see review of individual bills come forward, and we're very disappointed that we just underwrote $4 trillion in debt over the next 2 years.
So what do you want done now? Like, what would be the cuts that you would target, especially now?
My colleague Paul Gosar has put forward an agenda to target a lot of the national emergencies that have remained declared at times for years or decades. They've operated as slush funds for the administration. And so we might want to go and repeal some of those national emergencies so that we've got the ability to claw back those dollars and apply them to the Treasury.
I have a question for you, and it's really, when I sit here in this chair, I'm thinking I'm holding a microphone for other people. So it's not so much about what I want to know, it's what some people might perceive or ask. Do you consider yourself far right, or is that a label?
Well, on some things, people consider me far right. On some things, people consider me far left. I have a libertarian streak. I've got a populist streak. What I do know is this: more than 60% of the country understands that we can't keep spending money this way. And that's not just a far right position. People in the middle hold that view as well. My tactics are probably a little more bare knuckle than most here in Washington, but I've learned that the only way things change is by force. And sometimes we have to bring that force to bear for the country without regard for political ideology, but just what America needs to stay financially healthy.
And do you think that bare-knuckled approach is in response to perhaps an overcorrection that is needed to get this country back on track fiscally?
Yeah, the lobbyists and special interests have been growing the federal budget exponentially. I mean, think just since COVID, the size of the federal budget has increased by 40%. The federal government is 40% larger. And so we cannot continue on that path. And I think more and more Americans are coming to that viewpoint. And so rather than using the floor of the House of Representatives for failure theater, instead, we should be advancing these specific rescissions, and we should be forcing the Senate to take them up, or we should not take up matters that Chuck Schumer would like the House to take up. That's how you bank wins in divided government.
Okay, really quickly, 20-second answer here. Is McCarthy's speakership in jeopardy? And are you holding that speakership hostage by not voting for these Republican-led bills?
I'm not planning to execute on a motion to vacate today, but I'm also not interested in just a surrender or placating. Right now, we're using the tools that are at our disposal to try to force an agenda that we think is in line where most of the American people are. We don't think the American people supported this debt limit and the unlimited spending that it allows, and so we're going to present more conservative options, and we hope to do that with Speaker McCarthy as a partner. But McCarthy can't have a coalition deal with House conservatives and with Democrats. You've got to be monogamous with one or the other. You can't put us on your arm for 5 months and then go jump in the back seat with Hakeem Jeffries and think you can run back to us. It's not how it's going to work.
All right, Congressman Matt Gaetz, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Adrienne.